Let's talk about the subprime a little bit. You said in your Brookings speech, and I'm going to quote you, we at the Federal Reserve, this was a footnote, I think, actually, were aware,
I'm impressed.
We're aware as early as 2000 of instances of some highly irregular subprime mortgage underwriting practices, but regrettably viewed it as a localized problem subject to standard prudential oversight, not the precursor of what was to happen. Is that saying you saw instances of highly irregular underwriting, but you didn't dig deeper?
No, we knew that there was a lot of egregious underwriting going on. The critical issue is that it wasn't subprime per se that created the triggering of the crisis. Right. It was securitized subprime. And securitization didn't happen until mid-2003, 2004, right, in the volume, including not only securitization, but essentially adjustable rate mortgages, subprime adjustable rate mortgages. And the issue there is that you start from the focus of, say, the year 2000. That's 3.5 years away. The subprime market was actually a relatively stable, small part of the market. Remember, back at maybe 1989, 1990, the total outstanding subprime mortgages were very small.
But people didn't foresee it coming. The federal regulators didn't see it even in 2004 and 5. Yeah, I've just been reading Michael Lewis's book. There were people who saw it coming. Steve Eisman, a Wall Street investor, he set up instruments so he could bet on its failure. And a doctor in California said the incidence and complexity of frauds were so great you could see a train wreck coming. This was 2004 and 5. Mm-hmm. Why were they so prescient and the people here in Washington?
Well, let me just cite one statistic and then I'll go back to answer your question.
Okay.
The IMF, which has got the best set of data in the world, and arguably the best economists in the world, in the spring of 2007 said that risk had been declining for 6 months and that the outlook in the United States was improving and it was exceptionally good in the rest of the world. Now you have to ask yourself, why would they make that judgment? The problem that you're raising is a statistical illusion. I sat through innumerable meetings at the Federal Reserve where people would come in, sit down, and tell us all of the problems that were about to happen. Mm-hmm. They didn't. You never heard of them. You never heard of the problem. So that there is a bias here. If, for example, a book would be written in which somebody says, these 5 people will forecast the next crisis, and it happens, then I will be impressed.
Well, but again, you talk about the IMF, but you have noted with great pride that the Federal Reserve has the best economists, the best PhDs. You take enormous pride in their staff.
Now, I would argue that we're about on a par with the IMF.
Okay, but again, I come back to Steve Eisman and this guy Mike Burry. They got it, and
no, but just a second. In every crisis, you will always find a group of people after the fact who got it right.
But they were betting at the time. They were.
No, but you miss the people who are always betting and go broke, and you never heard of them.
So they were just lucky. It was a broken clock, right twice a day.
Well, let me put it this way. I know most of the people who've done well here.
Right.
They are a handful. People who can consistently call a turning point are very rare. The vast proportion of economists, myself included, have records which are average. I mean, they go up and they go down on occasion. But the problem here is that there's a failure to understand what would happen if you took 1,000 people and you split them into 2 and you had them toss coins against each other. Yeah. When you get down to the last 2 guys, tell them that they don't know how to toss coins.
Well,